On today's episode, we're asking once again if there's too much Marvel. What's up with Red Dead Redemption 2? Also, the state of the WWE, a Super Bowl preview, and are we ready to take a cruise with Mickey Mouse and Harry Potter? And are we ready to take a cruise with Mickey Mouse and Harry Potter? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glass from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And my goodness, it is wall-to-wall pop culture we've got for you today, because we've got a lot of guests appearing on today's program. But we've also got my good friend. He is the man, the myth, the legend. Along with me at the wonderful experience known as Humanity Media is Josh Peterson. What's going on, my friend?
Hey! I'm just trapped in these walls of pop culture. They're surrounding me. I'm in a box of pop culture.
Oh my gosh, it's almost like the song "Living in a Box" by Living in a Box. I remember when that came out. I'm like, oh, that's a stretch for as far as the title of your song there, but. Yes, we are trying to do what we can to share our experiences to the world out there with Humanity Media. You can catch it all over the place on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and so many other outlets, plus also Pop Culture Cosmos. We're here to do what we can to provide you the latest, greatest topics in pop culture and all over the podcasting and radio hemisphere. It's going to be a great episode we've got for you today. We've got Rob McCallum, Mike Crockett, and Tyler Baker all standing by on deck. But first, Josh, I want to ask you a question. Have you bought your tickets yet for Black Panther?
I have not. Until a couple days ago, I wasn't aware that it was such a hot commodity. I'm hoping I can still get some tickets, a few days before the show, but yeah, this is crazy. I know we're gonna jump into this here in a second, but it's I understand why it's such a big deal, and then at the same time I don't understand why. I don't know. Did you get your tickets? What are your thoughts? What you're thinking here?
Well, I'm buying mine this weekend, and I got to buy mine fast. And I think everybody out there, if you really want to go to the first weekend opening. The opening weekend for Black Panther, you got to be there. You got to get your tickets very soon, because it's been reported that Black Panther's sales are exceeding expectations, and in fact are leading the pack when it comes to pre-order sales for superhero movies. So that is a great sign that Black Panther is truly going to be a hot ticket for at least the first few weeks when it comes out. It's great to see that kind of approval for it. In fact, continuing on Marvel, we're going to talk a little later on about Iron Man 3 as far as our continuing thing going on when we break it down, all the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe itself is getting really expanded again this year with 3 films, once again, with Black Panther, Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp, which just debuted a trailer out this week, and you can check that out on our Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook site. So I ask you, Josh, 3 movies this year, backed by 3 movies last year, if you include Spider-Man Homecoming by Sony, and also Marvel, of course. Again, we've asked this before, but is it for casual audiences a little bit too much Marvel going on?
For casual audiences, I actually think that the burnout would happen more with comic book fans and casual audiences, because casual audiences, they love this stuff, and that's where, Disney is actually, between Marvel and Star Wars, I'm sure Disney is counting on quite a bit of profit this coming year. As for comic book fans, we kind of, as the issues come out, like, we get it either once a month or every other month, but it could take sometimes half a year or an entire year to tell an entire arc of story in a comic book, assuming there's 12 issues. But as far as the movies go, I think that the burnout's going to happen first with comic book fans before anything. But luckily we're going into the last stretch of the race here for this phase of Marvel, and that's kind of what's keeping them going. The question is, after Infinity War Part 2 or Avengers 4, whatever it's going to be called, is there going to be that burnout? Is that burnout going to happen? Are ticket sales going to decline? How is that going to look?
Well, I'll tell you what, it is to me still very exciting because I do want to see Black Panther. Infinity War has me all jazzed up. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I was kind of cool on, looked to me like it's going to be a lot of fun, especially seeing that Hello Kitty Pez dispenser just like blown up to try and be like that killer obstacle that was thrown out there. So that's really it looks to be something that's going to be a lot of fun, like the previous Ant-Man, that's going to not take it all so seriously, but still try to go ahead and entertain audiences. But you got Captain Marvel coming up in 2019, the second part of Infinity War coming up also then as well. Like you said, after it's all done with the second Infinity War and the next Marvel phase comes up, that's going to be a telling test indeed as far as if fans are going to still stay with the Marvel product and if they're going to continue to come back in droves, or if there's going to be some semblance of a burnout at some point in time. I think for at least another year up until the next Infinity War, I think we're still okay, but I don't know. I can see some comments online on social media, whatnot, starting to get a little bit, I think I've seen and done this before. I think I'm going to have to miss this one. I'll catch this on cable. I'll get it on DVD or Blu-ray. I don't necessarily need to see it at the theaters. I'm seeing a little bit of that going on. So I notice and I'm sensing a little bit, but overall, I still think casual audiences are still very excited to see the Marvel product. And I'm hoping for an outstanding year at the movies with Marvel in 2018. What are your thoughts on the Marvel product as far as the Marvel I'll start again. What are your thoughts on the Marvel Cinematic Universe as far as is there, like we've said before, and like we've asked out there before, is there too many Marvel movies going on for your taste? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com, also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And like I said, if you get a chance, check out all of our great stuff on Game Source, on Facebook and Twitter, Humanican Media out there as well, and Pop Culture Cosmos. We try to provide you a lot of great entertainment and pop culture, stuff, news, updates, info, podcasts, show listings, a whole 9 yards. You get your fill and then some when you check out all of our great sites indeed. Well, no music for today because we've got a full stack lined up for you as far as guests galore and commentary and analysis galore on everything pop culture today. We've got Rob McCallum standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire. Then after that, we've got Mike Crockett from the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing. He is standing by to talk the state of the WWE. And then we've got later on the broadcast, Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast. He is going to be talking some Super Bowl with his pick and mine as well in later on in the broadcast. But Josh and I are also going to be talking again a little bit of Marvel and also some Red Dead Redemption 2 later on in the program as well. We've got a great show lined up for you. We truly thank you for sticking around and watching and listening to our program. Once again, this is us right here at the PCC Multiverse. And like I said, we're going to be right back with Rob McCallum right in the middle of the Cosmic Crossfire. We're going to be talking some cruise shipping. I don't like that. We're going to be talking some pop culture cruising right here after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. when you get a chance, you got to check out all of our great stuff. Once again, that is Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source. We got a lot of great stuff for you online and social media on Facebook and Twitter. Also, you got to check out our great shows on the Podcast Radio Network, the Attack of the Humanicans at Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, right there. Our show, the Pop Culture Cosmos Show, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And then also as well, we're going to be on Croc Radio, Western Digital. We're going to be on at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Croc Radio on Mondays and Fridays. The Western Digital Reserve Broadcasting Network has us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Good Talk Radio also as well at has us for a double shot on Sunday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. Arizona time. And of course, you can always download the Pop Culture Cosmos shows and Humanican Media shows just by typing in those names, Pop Culture Cosmos and Humanican Media, on Podbean, the ESO Network, the Tangible Network, the Gun Geek Network, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and so many more outlets out there, Player.fm. The list just goes on and on and on. But speaking of Humanican Media, I know the guy right here who knows what's coming up for that great, great experience. So Josh, what is coming up very soon in the world of Humanican Media?
Great question. We just put up a new episode of Topicocalypse last night, and you can check that out now. The next episode will be up on Friday night or Thursday night, and actually features Gerald here. We're talking about video game to film adaptations, and then there's supposed to be a new episode of What About This coming at you this week, assuming they ever send me the synopsis for it. And then there will be a new Inside Sports, or new Inside Sports actually went up today, so you can listen to that. And then there's a new Super BS episode went up, and also a Super BS one-off that is basically will let you know all of the video games coming out in February. So if you got some money burning a hole in your pocket, you want something to play on Nintendo Switch or Xbox One or PlayStation, we got the scoop on all the games coming out.
And definitely, if for people downloading the show, I'm actually going to go ahead and throw that on the back end as far as the games of February that the Super BS Gamescast has lined up for you. I will be glad to throw that up at the back end for people who are downloading the show.
There we go. One-stop shop, man. One-stop shop.
One-stop shop indeed. But Josh, my thoughts on the Topicocalypse, people got to check that out. But if Rampage does win an Academy Award, I guess I'll be full of I guess I'll have to eat I guess I'll have to eat some crow.
Hey, let me ask you this. I was having a conversation with someone, and we were talking about The Rock, and like we were saying, we don't go to see The Rock for Academy Award movies. We go to see The Rock to laugh. But they took that to the extreme in Baywatch. So like, does The Rock have a range of acting that he needs to stay in, or does he sometimes try to go too far to one side than he should?
Well, actually, if anybody out there gets a chance to check it out, it was a movie that unfortunately went under the radar and has been long since forgotten. But Be Cool is a great movie out there that showcases early Rock and what he could do as far as his range of acting. Now, if you're talking about Rock now these days, he seems to stay in line with half serious when you see him in the Fast and Furious movies, to obviously that leading man type stuff and who will crack jokes and all that great stuff in his other movies that he in his other vehicles that he goes ahead and stars in. But yeah, man, the Rock, he tries to keep it. I think has a great idea exactly what he brings to the table and what people are actually going ahead and looking for when it comes to a Rock movie. I think he has a very, very keen sense to know exactly what's going on with that. And yeah, The Rundown is another great movie that he was in that got to showcase some of his skills. But I think he's very smart exactly who he's marketing to as far as the movies that he makes and exactly what's going on with him. I don't think Rampage is going to be one of his better movies, but still, I'm very, very happy to see most Rock movies that he brings out.
Yeah, right. And because I had read something about Rampage earlier saying that they're trying to stay as far away from the video game mythos as possible, which is weird. It just makes it sound like this movie's going to be a train wreck. But hey, we'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. He's allowed one every year, at least at the rate he does films. So I will say this, though. There's another entity in the pop culture genre that actually needs to be given a break, and that is Red Dead Redemption 2, because I know everybody's excited for it, but I know a lot of people are upset right now that if for the second time, Rockstar has announced that it will be delayed, and it's being delayed almost a year. Well, in fact, pretty much a year after its original scheduled time frame it was going to be released in, and that it is now coming to store shelves. Well, at least they gave a definitive date, October 28th this year in 2018. So I ask you, Josh, is this a problem with you? They said it was, they're just doing some polish and some refining was the excuse, that's the reason why it's being delayed for so many months after the initial delay to spring of this year. Do you have an issue with it? Are you still excited to play it? Or do you really, does it really matter to you that, it's been now a year beyond what they originally intended to release it? Do you have any issues with that at all?
This is typical. It's a typical Rockstar thing, because I mean with the first one, they did the same thing. It was delayed, like very many, like a lot of delays, and the game came out and it was still good. But as for my level of interest in it, I'm not like super stoked to play it. There's a lot of things that I would rather play instead coming out this year, but I will play Red Dead. I do want to play it, but it's just not on my my top 10 looking forward to games list. But yeah, I mean, I'm still interested in playing it. I'm sure there's a reason that they're doing this, and it's still going to sell. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to know why it's happening, and I hope that it has there's a reason for it.
Well, I'll say this. It is coming out on the same week that last year proved to be very good for Super Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, and also Assassin's Creed Origins. Everybody remembers they all came out on that same day. And I think right now it is coming out, Red Dead Redemption 2, in that same type of time frame. And it will be one of the, if not the major game to get during the Black Friday shopping season. So I think that was a very smart move by Rockstar in order to maximize their sales. They're going to get a ton of sales whenever they put the game out, because it follows in the line of the Grand Theft Auto series and also the previous Red Dead Redemption. So I don't think that's the case as far as them losing a whole bunch of sales by delaying it or putting it into the spring instead of the fall. Their move to late October is just a sign that they have very, very, very great confidence in the game to be the biggest hit of 2018, even if it comes out in late October. So I put it even ahead of the Call of Duty game, that whatever game in the series that will be when it comes out. Everybody knows the first week of November. So
right,
I think and that was the number one game of 2017 was Call of Duty World War II. So Call of Duty World War II. So I see Red Dead Redemption 2 surpassing that actually, and getting the jump on Call of Duty because they're coming out 1 week before.
Yeah, and I heard something they're working on a new Battlefield, but I think that's not till 2019. But
Battlefront 2, Battlefront 2, we'll talk about on the Sunday show as far as with EA is concerned. That was a major disappointment for them. But yes, the Battlefield will be the next first-person shooter game in the EA lineup.
Right, and so right now, all we're really waiting to hear is what does 343 have for us? Because there's rumors circling that there might be some sort of Halo game being released around holidays. So we'll have to see. Last year was kind of a good holiday season for the Switch, so I know Nintendo can't go into the holidays without having something to release. So right now, Red Dead is in a good spot because nothing else has been, no release dates have been set for anything else yet. So now they're going to kind of see what their competition is. And I do know a lot of people who are super excited about this game, so I have no doubt that it's going to sell a whole lot of copies.
And with Zelda and Mario already shot for 2017, it'll be interesting to see what Nintendo can still produce that's going to garner that large market base. In fact, right now, Nintendo probably could pretty much put out anything and it's going to sell a lot. Super Mario Odyssey was released on that weekend and became the largest selling game in the Nintendo Switch library. So it's going to be nice to see what they have followed up with. Maybe a Super Smash, maybe a Metroid. Who knows what they're actually going to be able to put out that's going to sell that great margins, because you can't bring out a new Zelda and a new Mario that fast. At least I don't think so, but you never know, Nintendo. But it'll be interesting to see where they all match up. But the first move for fall of 2018 has been already marked, and it's been done by Red Dead Redemption 2. It is a delay for the game for another 6 months, but hey, I think at this point in time, it's going to be quite worth it, and people are going to get themselves one heck of a video game. What are your thoughts on the second delay for Red Dead Redemption 2 being delayed to the last week of October in 2018? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanican Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. When we come back, our good friend Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast, he's going to be stopping by with his thoughts on the big game, Super Bowl. You can't say Super Bowl. Super Bowl. Wait, you can't say that name, Super Bowl. But he's going to be stopping by with his thoughts on the big game coming up right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. Thanks again for sticking with us. And we want to thank again Rob McCallum for stopping by in the Cosmic Crossfire. Mike Crockett from the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing for stopping by. Got to check out his great show and his great programs. Also as well, Tyler Baker from the Fantasy Football Pater podcast, sharing his big game thoughts, Super Bowl. But I will tell you this, we want to close out our show again with our continuing series as we break down the Marvel Cinematic Universe up into the Black Panther, Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Wasp movies coming out this year, like we talked about in the beginning. This week, it is Iron Man 3. Josh, for me, the most interesting aspect of Iron Man 3 was not the Mandarin and that part, although I'll tell you what, Ben Kingsley was great in his performance, which shows that, yeah, he does go ahead and do a lot of cash grabs, but when he's given the chance, he can still act like very few others. But for me, I thought the best part of it, and it was Robert Downey Jr., who, in my opinion, gave his best performance with the PTSD that he was suffering through from the Battle of New York in the Avengers movies. Your thoughts on Iron Man 3, and is it still something that you feel is a great movie or even a great performance by Robert Downey Jr.?
I have a love-hate relationship with that movie. When I first watched it, it kind of irked me because I went into it expecting, the typical Marvel fanboy wanting to see explosions, and everyone was talking about like the Mandarin, so I was expecting the big mystical Mandarin of the comic books. Didn't have that delivered. So after I watched it a few more times, I like it. Sorry, hold on one second. All right, I'm sorry, man. But yeah, so
can you start over with your thoughts on that, because there was dogs barking throughout it?
Yeah. Okay. Just start from the beginning.
Yeah, just start from the beginning. Your thoughts on, your thoughts on Iron Man 3.
Okay. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with the movie. When I first went to see it, I was really excited because I'd heard about the Mandarin and the Ten Rings, so I was expecting like the mystical bad guy, and I thought that the trailers were just being coy, not giving us a glimpse of what was actually going to happen in the movie. So I was like, that's a very smart marketing campaign. That, with a director like Shane Black, like I was really excited to see what he had in store for Iron Man, and especially this was the first post Avengers movie, so that was also exciting, and that had that going for it.
And I also want to say this, that it is the highest grossing single entity film, although basing itself off of just one character, Iron Man 3, ahead of even Captain America, the Civil War, although that's like, Avengers 2.5. It even beats that movie and any of the other singularly based Marvel movies that are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right, and that in itself is impressive, and that just goes to show you that people love Robert Downey Jr. and they love him as Iron Man, and the fact that that's why I don't like everything that happened to him going forward, because they turned him into like this dark, brooding, tragic. He doesn't really know what he wants to be. That he had this moment where he was like really I don't know, like funny, and he was comedic, but he was still kind of that a tragic hero, and then they turned him into like this dark. I don't know how to explain it, but anyways, yeah. Did you ever see Shane?
He just seems like he almost seemed kind of depressed. He almost seemed kind of melancholy, just kind of like he just was very visionless on what he wanted to do, kind of like the opposite of what he came out of in the original Iron Man.
Well, let me throw this theory at you. Does it seem like a lot of the characters in the MCU are kind of pieces of Tony Stark that were taken off of him? So by the time we get to the post Age of Ultron days, you literally do have all of these characters who are like, you have the comedy and Paul Rudd, and like the quirkiness in Spider-Man. You have like the bravery in Captain America. So all these like characteristics that embodied Tony Stark got dismantled, and so I think they got to the point where they didn't know what to do with him to make him stand out anymore.
And it seems like a lot of times, like in Age of Ultron, and even to a sense in Spider-Man: Homecoming, that he's only there for looks and provide
and
nice
sales.
commentary, and provide those one-liners as only he can do. Although he is very good in Spider-Man: Homecoming with the limited amount of dialogue that he was given.
No, that's very true. So back to Iron Man 3. Did you ever see the movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
No, I have not.
I definitely recommend checking it out. But that was Shane Black's first run with Robert Downey Jr. So that was the movie that kind of revitalized Robert Downey Jr.'s career. Iron Man, obviously, but like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was like the first thing that he had been in that was somewhat successful in a long time. And that movie, it also has Val Kilmer, but it's kind of I can see a lot of that movie in Iron Man 3, and after watching the Iron Man 3 a few times, I had a better appreciation for it. It appealed to a wider audience outside of the superhero genre. So like I could sit down with my dad and I could say, hey, let's watch this, and it feels more like a buddy movie than it does a superhero movie, but it also has the elements of a superhero movie. So that is something I do admire about Shane Black as a filmmaker and his ability to make that film.
Well, let's hope it continues in the estimated short amount of time that we have Tony Stark, aka Robert Downey Jr., left, because as you and I both know, his time is very limited within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There is no way they're going to be able to keep wanting to pay his extravagant salary for continuous movie after movie after movie, even though people are clamoring still for an Iron Man 4 even to this day. And part of the reason why is because Iron Man 3 did so well at the box office and did, I think, a very, very good job in portraying Tony Stark's I guess, kind of different visions as far as realizing that the world was not just going to be all laying at his feet anymore, and that he could just not always just go snap his fingers or build something right away that could save the world with the snap of his fingers, and just basically go ahead and just save the world with, you know, whatever it is he comes up with. So I think he realized that he was a very small fish in a very large encompassing universe. He was a very small entity in a large encompassing universe, and realized that maybe the challenge is a lot bigger than what he originally thought it would be. And I think when he comes to that realization in the Avengers, and more importantly in Iron Man 3, it really brings out the best in Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Tony Stark.
Yeah, he's gonna have a moment, I think. Like, even, you know, assuming he does get off in the movie, he's gonna have a moment where, like, it all comes together for him. The culmination of all the films that he's been in, all the adventures we've seen him with. He's gonna have that moment, and he's gonna do something epic. Like, he's gonna go out. He's not gonna go out with just like the punch we saw in the trailer. There's gonna be something more to it, and we're gonna be sad about it, but we're also going to feel good about it, I think.
I hope so as well, and believe me, I hope so for all those Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. fans out there as well. Fans out there as well. What are your thoughts on Iron Man 3? Do you still think it plays an important part in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Do you believe that it is, like I do, Robert Downey Jr.'s best performance of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, it's been another great episode we had here today. Want to thank you so much for being a part of it. Josh, any last thoughts on the way out?
Yeah, actually, I had something I was gonna say, but I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, did you see online? There's a guy who got he had a sign up that said if he got 1 million likes, his wife would let him name his child Goku, and he ended up making that quota, so they're naming their kid Goku. Good for them.
Only in the socially conscious and social media world of 2018. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening, and here's hoping you have yourself a great day.